Welcome back to the Student Hub Live. In this session, we're going to talk about using the OU library. So I hope you've just enjoyed that video of the library. The library team, as you can see from that short video, are a really, really lovely, helpful bunch. And I'm joined by Hossam from the library, as well as Sarah Jones, who is one of our students. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to use the library, what it is, and specifically for students of education, childhood, youth and sport, how they can make the most of specific resources that may assist their studies. So Hossam, can you just give us a little bit of an overview about what the online library actually is and where students can find it?
So the OU library is have lots of resources that are online only, so you can access from anywhere in the world, as long as you have a device and an internet connection. Also, you can have access to the help desk and all online. There is training sessions that we run similar to what the students would face during their study, like through Adobe Connect. So again, from the benefit of your home, you sit and watch us, and we will deliver training sessions. What is good about the online library is that we have online databases, online ebooks, and e-journals, which students would need during their study. So, for example, students who are studying education, they will have resources such as Entered Online database, which contain resources beneficial to teachers in early education or early learning professionals. We have resources such as Education Research Complete and PsycInfo, which contain also things that are relevant to early learning, as well as ebooks. So these resources are there for students. So students might be asked to, for example, find an article online, especially at level 1 students. They might not be asked to find information for a particular subject. That would happen in year 2. But in year 1, you might be told, find this particular article in the library and then download it and read it. So that's something which we have available for you. Don't feel afraid that there is so many resources which you don't know about, because we ourselves, I mean, we are aware of our subjects, but there are lots of things that I don't know myself. And what we've done for students, if we organized our resources and there's something called selected resources for you, for your study. And basically, if you are studying education, you can go to this selected resources for you. Under education, you find things for early learning or youth studies. And within that, you find selected databases, which we have picked up. It's not everything in the library, it's just things we think might get you started. And always we are there to help you whenever you need help.
Brilliant. Louise has just transferred in, so that's great, Louise. I mean, the library over the road has virtually nothing in it. I mean, apart from some librarians and computers and things. When I did my first degree, I used to go to the library and I used to have to find all the articles, which were often out, which was really annoying, and then like get them and then try and borrow them or photocopy them or something else. I mean, it's amazing now that students have access for free to all of these really expensive journal databases and books and things. But it makes the question then, or the challenge, I guess, a search-based one instead of an access to stuff one, doesn't it? Because everyone can look at the same thing online.
Yes, it's basically you have to know how to find this information first, and there is techniques to that which the library can help students with. We do offer training sessions on how to do this, but also there is the added problem is, how do I evaluate whether this information is good or not? And again, there are first of all, when we select resources for the library, we make sure that it's of high quality. Second bit is everyone would need to be able to decide whether this is of good quality or not. And there are frameworks which students can apply, like the when and who and why framework or the prompt one. And again, we have training sessions on how to apply these frameworks and how to choose the best resources for you. There might be one resource that is really good, but is it relevant or not? Again, that's a question you have to ask. It's everything like this, which we again do offer training for students on.
I know lots of people who've been to your training sessions in Adobe Connect, and we run similar ones, and they're really nice because they're sort of time controlled. You can just go in for a specific time as well. And also they focus on really key things that many students are worried about, like referencing and searching for information and all those great topics. How do students find out about those training sessions?
So if you go to the lab website, there is a tab there which is called Learning and Events tab. and then within that, we list all the sessions and the dates and the time when they will happen. And also on a monthly basis, we do send to students a news item on Student Home, which will appear on their new Student Home, and then it will tell them what sessions are coming. And then if they keep an eye on that, they will find it. Also, another source is probably their tutors might be telling them about these sessions.
Yeah.
We try to also use our social media to advertise the sessions just ahead of the session time, and lots of students come to us through this. And I was surprised recently also that one student saw something on Student Home, and then they WhatsApped all their friends, and they turned up. So that's which is good. I mean, it's they kind of which is really good because they know the benefit of this, and they are telling their classmates to come as well.
Brilliant. So we've covered some of the things. I mean, ebooks you sort of mentioned very briefly, but I mean, they are so useful to be able to download, specifically in education. If you want a chapter of something as well, those are great because often you'd have to buy that book. So the articles are one thing, but the ebooks are a whole other thing. You also have news archives as well.
Well, we have the news archives is again another important resource. We have things going back to 1600s, and I know some of the students would find it beneficial if they're looking at historical stuff. These are also accessible through the library, and again, instead of you can go directly into these news archives, and if you're not sure which one to use, again, we have listed them under the resources as the news items, and then you could check each one of them and see what they cover. The good thing about them is, as I said, it gives you access to an old stuff. Some of them might be really relevant, some of them might be not of high quality, but they are still usable. And when I say not of high quality, someone who doesn't have any special needs would be able to read it. But even if someone with special needs need them, but they are not accessible to them, we can convert it for these students so they can use it. So
they can just let you know. The other thing is reference collections. When might students need some of these? Because I'm very mindful that a lot of these things maybe they don't need to worry about right now, but are really, really useful for general interest and later on.
Yes, so for example, when you come to study a new subject, especially if you are in year one, there is lots of terminologies banging around that you probably know the meaning of them in the day-to-day context, but not in the scientific context. And that's where referencing collection comes into play. So if you use like dictionaries or encyclopedias, which will help you to identify what's the meaning of this term, there are subject-specific dictionaries which you can use for that purpose. And then you look at the meaning and now I know what it means in this context.
Because we've seen already how language is so important and how some things like play have very contested definitions anyway.
Yeah, and similar things in early education. What early means in the context of schooling, and even if you want to decide what is a child, and if you're looking at a particular age group, you need to be able to find a definition for that. Which age group I'm looking for? Is it a toddler? Is it a teenager? So you would need to find these definitions, and dictionaries are really good.
Yeah, I found it really, really helpful in my studies because I was coming across terms that I had no idea about at all. So I found it extremely helpful, and it's kind of almost been a rabbit hole for me because then I've started looking at others and others and others, and one day I did actually waste a whole day. I wouldn't say wasted, used a whole day.
Well, you're learning something. It's not a waste, but also they come into they are important as well. So when you're doing a subject search, when you're now in year 2 or 3, it's not enough to look for the term which you have been given in your assignment. You need to find the synonyms of that term. And these reference collections are really important to find the synonyms and other words that describe the same thing, because you need to put that in your search strategy in order to get as many results as possible and relevant results.
Now, you've given us some ideas about things that may be particularly relevant to students studying education, childhood, youth and sport. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those, and also when students might want to use some of those various different sources? So
we talked about dictionaries, that if you want to find a meaning for a new word, but when you come to, if you want to search for a particular journal article, you may not want to go to the database directly, but you can go to the library search, which is an important, powerful tool. You go to library search, put the title of that journal, the name of the author, and then the results you are searching for would be one of the top 5 results because you put precise information. And that's really good for someone who is on level 1 or looking for a book. You don't need more than that. The library search will help you, and even sometimes news items. Not everything can be picked up by the library search because of the nature of
Yeah.
databases. However, when you are looking for things on level 2 or 3 and you're looking for an answer on a particular research topic, you might then want to delve into databases such as PsycInfo or Education Research Complete, and that's where we will do what we call a topic search or a subject search. You will put key search terms, and then you will pretty much be sure that all the results are coming back as relevant. And that's why you would need to use databases. Not Google is a powerful tool, but it returns lots of irrelevant results. And when you are time constrained, you want precise results. And that's where coming to using subject search engines such as the Education Research Complete is important, because you know I don't have time to look for many things, but that would give me specific results.
And is it just books? I mean, you put Anatomy TV here for our sports students. That sounds fun.
Anatomy TV is brilliant. It gives you 3D imaging of like the skeleton or the parts of the like the arm or something, so you can rotate it and look at different parts of that. And it is, and it's
just for anyone. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was using when I was helping medical librarian. It was brilliant, like looking at that, and it's an important tool for someone who's doing sports science, someone who has interest even in this, even if it's not like just doing it for fun. It's an important tool, like Anatomy TV, and also there's lots of videos there you can watch, and so it's try to use as many of these. It's available for you to use. It's there to be used, and if you're stuck and you don't know what to use, call us, and we are contactable 24/7. Literally,
yes,
through the chat line, the library chat, and someone will answer your question. We are available also on the phone or email during working hours.
Brilliant, excellent. So that sounds great. Now, an excellent opportunity to completely waste a day down the rabbit hole as well, which I'm going to do. So you've mentioned some of the sort of stuff there that students can look at, but you've also mentioned the training. And the other thing that's really important, HJ's put a link in the chat to the library training sessions that you do, is this idea of embedding stuff within modules so that students don't need to be too scared. So you were mentioning some of these frameworks, and I know that you and colleagues work with the module teams to sort of put those in nice bite-sized chunks as appropriate within students' learning journey, so that when they need to know to reference, they're taught a bit about it. When they need to know how to find an article and look at it, then they're told about that. So there's no need to worry too much. And it's nice to see all of that embedded in the curriculum. Have you experienced that?
That has made a massive difference to me. I was scared stiff of referencing, for instance. I'd not studied for 20 years. And I'd never ever referenced. And how I've got now, I do everything and reference, but it taught me how to reference. Yeah,
it's not yet part of your general repertoire, but
we're getting there. But I mean, the first thing I did was I looked through the library website. I did some of the training. I thought, well, that kind of makes a little bit of sense, but it didn't make as much sense to me until I started doing it through the module. And it teaches you how to do these things, so that when you get to the end of level 1, you're fairly competent in referencing. You're not, absolutely spot on, but you're fairly competent. And I was getting to the point where I was actually really loving referencing, which is a bit sad, but I was actually really loving referencing. And one of the things I just want to pick up on is the library being open the 24/7. During one of my level 2s, I was struggling to reference a particular poem, and I was struggling to find out where it came from, and I was really struggling with that. And it was about midnight, and I messaged the library. Somebody got straight back to me. They were struggling as well, but they said that later in the day somebody would get back to me, and they did. And although they couldn't find it, they told me then, gave me advice on how to reference it, and they were absolutely brilliant. So knowing that resource is there 24/7 is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it is, and referencing is very important for students. It's just, first of all, I mean, it shows that you've read around the subject. It helps people to track your reference for their own benefit if they are interested. Also, it allows your tutors who are marking you to check that yes, what you are talking about is correct.
And that you've used the module material.
Well, exactly. There is that.
Absolutely.
And also, one important thing people may not get is why they need to reference. It's just because if you use someone else's work and present it without referencing correctly, you are kind of giving an impression, probably without intention to do that, is that it's your own work and that might mark you down. But if you know how to reference and why you need to reference and what to reference, that will help you at least avoid losing marks for simple reason, such as just putting the right reference. And again, the library does offer a training session on that for students, just to help them with this. And there are lots of activities also on the library website. If you don't have the time to attend the library session at the time advertised, you can either watch the video or you can go, there is something we call being digital, and it's small chunks of like 5 minutes, 10 minutes activities that you can do on your own, in your own time, when you have some 5 minutes to do it.
Kieran came along earlier when we were talking about tutors, and he was saying that, you know, the most important thing with referencing is to acknowledge your source. Yes. So that's why it's really important. And he was saying, you know, it doesn't really sort of matter at level 1 quite where the commas are and this, that and the other, because people can get hung up on that, and the most important thing is to sort of say where you got the information. So would you and the library agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We as long as you just put as much information for the reader to know where this reference comes from, it doesn't matter then whether the comma came here or there, as long as it's enough details for someone to track it. And what is important also is just that if it's an online source, just put the date you have accessed it, because some of the resources can disappear or change, and by giving them the date when you last accessed it, that was correct at that time, and it helps.
And in many of the level 1 modules in particular, students will get, well, they'll always get advice on the referencing conventions for that module, and often they'll have a model answer there of the actual format. So it's quite easy then just to, once you know that you should refer to a source, then you can just sort of, I guess, copy the format. Yeah,
exactly. It is a matter of looking at that.
And on the library, you've got a lot of model kind of, if you're referencing a video source or referencing a journal, you've got all that information there that you can just click on, oh, that's how I do it. And that has been absolutely amazing for me. I found it so helpful.
We have put information there for the most common resources, but sometimes you still have the peculiar thing. One time I think we got a question, how do I reference a seed packet? And we do understand there are sometimes this peculiar things, but call us and we will help you with it.
Oh, great. No, that's been... Amy says she's no idea about referencing, but she's finding that this chat's really easing things for her. So I'm pleased you think that, Amy. So everyone else got a cup of tea at home?
I think they're getting their teas ready, just about finishing off and ready to get another one. I think they're powering through them. But as Amy said, she's finding it really useful. And we did mention the online training sessions as well, which I've been to myself, which are really useful. I think the next one's coming up on the 1st of October, just a general introduction to the library. And it's a great opportunity to see what a tutorial might be like, as it uses the same program and it's in the same type of format. So it's definitely a good opportunity, even if you're clued up on the library, to check out what a tutorial might be like for you.
Two birds with one stone. We like
That's
that.
It.
And what we're trying to do is putting the sessions at different times of the day to make sure that everyone can attend them. So we have sessions in the evening, as they can go as late as 9:30, or even sometimes they finish at 10. Lunchtime sessions, and also we this year is experimenting again with early bird sessions, so like 6:30 in the morning and 7 o'clock in the morning. We had students attending them. And we do recognize that some people might work late shifts and they want something just before they go back to sleep, or the kids haven't woken up in the morning and they just want something to do.
And
so
some
we try
students
to
are in
accommodate
different time zones.
Exactly. So we try to accommodate for all of our students. And again, if these timings don't suit you, our sessions are available on YouTube, and we do recognize that some of our students have disabilities, so we've made sure that they have subtitles and they are accessible as much as possible.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, thank you both so much. That's a really nice introduction to the library, and you guys always go down so well with the students as well, because it's such a great resource. And I think that one of the most exciting things is not only that there's the resource there, but that you really enable students to use it, both in ways that they're sort of not really aware of as they're going through activities in their module, but also the explicit ways, like, help, it's midnight and I don't know how to do this reference for this poem. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for that session. OK, that ends today's live part of the daytime programme, but we're back tonight, you'll be pleased to know, at 6 o'clock. We have sport and fitness. Then we're going to look at the library from a postgraduate student perspective, and then we're going to look at taught postgraduate. Even if you're not studying those areas, you're really welcome to join in also. And on Monday next week, we have an induction programme for the whole university that's very generic. So do come along to that also. We'll be covering all sorts of things, and the programme is on the Student Hub Live website. The following day, we've got different sessions again, while others, are specific to some faculties, there's plenty there. So if you've enjoyed connecting with other people and spending a bit of time watching us and our fabulous guests here in the studio, then please do feel free to log on. We've also got some training sessions that may help you in your studies, and places for those are limited, so do get a ticket to that. We'll be putting a lot of things on the Student Hub Live website, so you can find all the resources, the links to the library and career, although to be honest, you can get those from your student homepage very easily as well. And we hope that you can join us at another event, if not tonight, at some moment in the future. There's one other thing I must tell you about, which is our YouTube channel, and there's lots of content, including from the library there, about things like how to reference and a whole host of other content. So you can just look up Student Hub Live YouTube channel and subscribe if you'd like to receive information. And we have a mailing list now, so if you'd like to know about when we've got our next events on, you can just give us your email address and we'll keep in touch with you. So bye from us in the studio till 6 o'clock tonight, when I'm looking forward to seeing you then. And I hope you've enjoyed today's programme, and thank you to everybody, including everyone at home, for participating. See you soon.